Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm going to be profiling for you one of my, I guess you could say, one of my favorite decks actually. Under the radar favorite decks, and that is Noble Knights, guys. Now, I know Noble Knights are not meta. They never were meta. They were played and they did top here and there back in the day. But I've always had a fondness for the archetype because of the story, the lore, and especially the artwork. I've really come to appreciate the artwork, and it just looks so beautiful as Yu-Gi-Oh artwork. I've been trying to rarity bump a lot of the Noble Knight deck over the course of the last year and a half before I profiled this deck for you guys. The deck did get a little bit dinged up because of Kaiser Coliseum getting banned. It was a really good deck with Kaiser Coliseum being in the deck as a 2-of. However, you can no longer do that, but I still find the deck is very, very good at what it does, which is making very powerful monsters that can overwhelm your opponent. And if you can do that very quickly, the deck can work out very well. It's also good somewhat in the grind game, I find. This build that I built of the deck is. So without further ado, guys, I'll get into the deck. I've been testing the heck out of this deck online and playing it against some friends as well, and it's been doing fairly well. So first you got your 3 Mcgraw, and I apologize about the rarities. Like I said, I'm trying to rarity bump the deck, but because I really like the artwork, but I haven't got all the rarities yet. So first we got the Noble Knight Mcgraw. He's pretty much your main monster of the deck. He's definitely your boss monster of the deck, quote unquote, in the main deck, I guess you could say, because the fact of the matter is, he is your Exceeds playmaker. So pretty much what you do is, when he is on the field, you normal summon him, you equip a Noble Arms card to him. He gets the effect where you can pop the Noble Arms card to get another, I guess you could say another, Noble Knight on the field. Sometimes what you do is sometimes you go for, Noble Knight boars. Sometimes you'll go for just a regular rank 4, and sometimes you go for Bedwar, because Bedwar's effect can mean that I can dump a Noble Arms to the graveyard with Bedwar's effect, and then go into a rank 4, and that means I have 2 Noble Arms in the graveyard, and then I can go for Artorgus, King of the Noble Knights. So that's a quick way of going into that, having 2, things set up. So it's a really nice combo play in that aspect with Noble Knight Mcgraw. He's a rank 4 playmaker, and even if you don't want to go for your Noble Knight, your king, you can also just regularly go for a rank 4 play easily with this guy. So he's a very integral part of the deck, and he's your rank 4 playmaker. Next you have your 3 Merlin. Merlin is kind of like your lone fire for the deck. He's a pretty dang good card. I mean, he's a spellcaster. I wish he was a warrior, it'd make him a little more searchable, but I understand it's Merlin, he's a spellcaster, a wizard, got it. I know the history of the Noble Knights and the history of just the King Arthur and all that stuff, which is an awesome story. So Merlin pretty much means that he also has the effect where he's engraved, you can quickly go into a synchro monster or an Exceeds monster, which sometimes I have used that effect. It's kind of like a Formula Synchron type effect where, or Yang's, I don't know if Yang Zing's had that effect still, but I know like Formula Synchron, that's the best way I can compare it to, where you can synchro up on your opponent's turn, you can exceed on your opponent's turn. I sometimes use that effect once in a while, but mainly I use him to get out Noble Arms Mcgraw. Sometimes, depending upon my hand, I get boars. Sometimes I get Bedwar. It just depends upon my hand and the field situation. But he's a very good card because he pretty much is a lone fire for the deck. So very, very good card there. Next we have our 2 boars. A lot of players out there will tell you you have to run 3 boars. It's staple, it's amazing. I am one of those players that agreed with that back in the day. From playtesting this deck a lot, and I mean a lot, I found that boars got cloggy as a 3-of. 2-of was all I really want. I cut the 3rd one out for Bedwar because of the plays I could do with Mcgraw going into Bedwar and then going into the king, for that matter. So I found those plays a little bit better than going into this and then going into boars and then, adding Noble Arms that way. By sitting to the graveyard, well, king got his effect, you add them back, attach them to king, you're good to go. So boars pretty much is kind of like, I guess you could compare it to, the best card that comes to mind is Cosmo Tin Can. It's sort of like Tin Can, because the fact of the matter is you reveal 3 Noble Arms to your opponent, okay? When he's got noble arms attached to him, they already have that effect. All of them just about have that effect when they have a noble arms attached to him. Then they gain their effects. So when he has a noble arm attached to him, he gains the effect where you can reveal 3 noble arms from your deck to your opponent. They choose one, the rest gets into the graveyard. Thus, you're filling up your graveyard and getting ready to bring out your king. But I like him still, but I still like him as a 2-of. I tried 3-of, it was a little bit too much, but 2-of, I do like him, and he hasn't clogged at all. Because sometimes when you open up double boars, it was like, oh my gosh, what the heck am I going to do? Especially if you had no noble arms. Then I run the Synchro engine in the deck, which I know players are going to say, oh, it's such a bad engine, but the fact that the Synchro monster, which I'll show you very quickly, High Lanceland, is really good, and your searcher of the deck, I just found it was too good, along with the fact that there's a new card that came out last year that I've been testing out with it in Noble Knights, which I'll talk about in a minute, why I run the vanillas. So first off, I run your 2 Lady of the Lake. I love this as a secret rare. I really, really do. Looks so beautiful. And I run 3 Noble Knight Artorigus, the vanilla. So I'm going to read you I like this story. It says here. It says for Noble Knight Artorigus. No one shall ever know the truth behind that fateful day. Artorigus went forth to where the brilliant sword doth slay. 'Twas the first of many feats so great, a legend through and through. We sing of him, Artorigus, the noble knight and the brave. The noble and the brave, from the tales of the noble knight. So he's your vanilla. That's the only thing he is. So pretty much when he's in the graveyard, you can go Lady of the Lake. Lady of the Lake's effect kicks in. You can bring back a vanilla from the graveyard, and then you can go into High Lanceland. I'm going to read you High Lanceland's effect so you understand why it's a pretty good card. So he's a 21 attack beater. When this card is synchro summoned, you can equip 1 Noble Arms spell card from your deck to your hand. At the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed a monster by battle and sent it to the graveyard, yes, I know against pendulums this deck is not good, I get it. But besides pendulum decks, battle phase, it's destroying, sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Noble Knight or Noble Arms card from your deck to your hand. You can only control 1 Ignoble Knight. So he's pretty much your searcher for the deck, besides Rhoda and everything else. And he's very easy to go into now with the new card, Painful Decision. So in combination with Painful Decision, I can go Painful Decision, drop 2 vanillas to the graveyard. Okay, so I send 1 vanilla to the graveyard, add the other one to my hand. I can use it for whatever, Twin Twister fodder, just going into other Noble Knights like the Kings maybe if my play is backfired with Brothers. But you can go Lady of the Lake first turn, go into this, attach a Gallatin or a Excalibur or whatever you need to, run over your opponent's thing, get the effect off, get a search another Noble Arms card. Sometimes you search the monster, yes, and then just go off, attach another one like a Destiny so it can't be destroyed or targeted, Excalibur if you don't want it to be targeted, you know, different things like that, and it can build up a momentum on your board as you're drawing through other cards and traps. So it's a really good card, and I like this in the deck with the 2 Lady of the Lake and the 3 Noble Knight Artorigus. You don't have to run it, guys, but from playtesting, it's... And with Painful Decision out now, I mean, yes, Painful Decision could be dead, because sometimes I've drawn double Artorigus, and you're like, what the freak am I supposed to do? I got 2 dead cards in my deck. But it's the same aspect as running Rescue Rabbit back in the day, guys. I mean, you run Rescue Rabbit, if you draw the rabbit, you draw 2 of these, oh, well... Too bad, too sad, but I like Painful Decision in the deck with this combination because you can go into that. You do got, it is susceptible to multiple different types of plays, strikes, warnings, you know, strikes, effect veilers, etc., Phoenix Chains, breakthrough skills, whatever's out there. But it's the best way I can find to run the deck. But 3 Artorigus and 2 Lady of the Lake. I really like that ratio. Some people run 3 Lady of the Lake. Got kind of cloggy. 2 was all I really wanted. Then I run Brothers. 1 Brothers. I have thought about bumping this up to 2 of, but we'll talk about it. 1 Brothers. 1 Bedouar. 1 Ignoble Knight Lancelin. These are your 1 of Noble Knight monsters you run. Last ones here. So this one, if you have a normal monster, you can tribute it off to get this guy out. You can tribute him to get a he's just a big beater that you can attach things to run over things. Sometimes you can tribute him off to get a Noble Knight's cards, but that's fine. Bedwar works well with Noble Knight Mcgraw. Also, he's just a good card in general. I find as a one of, really is. And Brothers can just help you spam the field and just go off. From personal experience here, I have thought of adding Brothers as a 2-of in the deck by dropping the Noble Knight Lancelot out of the deck. I would love to hear your opinions. If you're a Noble Knight player, you've been playing this deck for a long time, and you've been playing the Synchro variation with Painful Decisions, if perhaps, would you add Brothers up to 2-of? Because the fact that it's a marauding captain, pretty much, that can just get dead, clunky hands and make you go for plays, I really do like it. So I may drop the one Lancelot for a double Brothers, or I may just keep this ratio because I've been testing it, and this is what I came up with. But the one Brothers is really good because it can make exceed plays, and the fact of the matter is, it can help recycle cards in your deck too, in your graveyard, which is nice. So yep. Then we run our Guinevere, Queen of the Noble Arms. Really good card, but you don't want to run more than 1-of, really. The fact that you can just reattach her, reattach her, reattach her, reattach her. I mean, I've thought of adding Foolish Barrow in the deck just to get her going and having Noble Arms in the graveyard that can just get all my effects going, which is really nice. But, I mean, I just like her as a 1-of. And if you get her, you get her. You can search her out. It's nice. Then we run, which you've got to run in this deck because of other combo-oriented decks out there, is 2 Max C. You can run Effect Veiler, but I was kind of tight on space, so I just decided to run the Max Cs for draw power and things of that nature. Because sometimes this deck will clog, and the Max C can help you get to combo plays, and you can rely on some of your traps maybe until you get into your combo plays, and then go off on your opponent, which is nice. So 2 Max C. Then I run the 2 Painful Decision, which I talked about earlier. Painful Decision means you literally can search your vanillas. You can search one of the vanillas, and like I said with Brothers, if you have a Brothers in hand, and you also have a vanilla in hand, that's automatically a rank 4 right there, okay? And the fact that I'm always setting another one up in the graveyard for Lady of the Lake works out very well. So like I said, may add a second Brothers. I have one sitting right next to me in case of it, but in my binder, but I just haven't run it yet. I haven't tested it out enough, but I do like the concept. But 2 Painful Decision. Sometimes this card will be dead if you draw double vanillas, but sometimes that happens with other decks. But it's just such a good card that can help thin your deck out, get your plays going, set up for combo plays. So 2 Painful Decision. Then I run 2 Destiny. This is the only Noble Arms card that I run 2 of, because the fact of the matter is it can prevent being destroyed by battle. Excalibur I wanted to run as a 2-of, and Gallatin I wanted to run as a 2-of, but the problem is you have to find the ratio that works for you. I know Destiny is now as good as it used to be because, you know, everything, but it's just a card that has prevented me from losing duels. I've put some noble monsters in defense mode. You know, they attack. Oh, I had this attached to it. Okay, I didn't die. Put it in defense mode and just stall out for a turn or two until they can Twin Twister me with something. The nice thing is this deck is susceptible to Twin Twister somewhat, but they can not so much really. Like they can reborn themselves once a turn, so it's kind of nice. But the deck is susceptible to a lot of back row removals somewhat. If they use Cosmic Cyclone on you, gosh forbid, you're up the creek without a paddle. But 2 Destiny, I do like it as a 2-of in the deck. I want to make Caliburn a 2-of, but yeah. I decided to cut it for other cards, other traps in the decks. 1 Caliburn, you can run 2 if you want to. Caliburn, its effect to add life points is really nice. It gains 500 attack, so it's a beater, but I like it as a 1-of. Gallatin, this one's really good if you're going for your Lancelot, because sometimes I go for Caliburn or this one, and then I'll run over it. Or if it's a low enough monster and I have some back, I'll go for Destiny or Excalibur, or just depend upon what I've seen from the deck already, or if I know their deck. So Gallatin's really nice because you can just run over just about anything, and then you can attach a Destiny to it, and then you're pretty much in a position where it's pretty good. Or if you know they're a rank 4 deck and they can make Castell easily, well, you can go for your Excalibur, and then you'd be like, okay, this, run over, go for Excalibur, protect my things from being targeted, good to go. So, yep. 1 Excalibur, you can run more of it. It's really nice to the effect engrave, so you can go for your Artorgus, King of the Noble Knights Oh, excuse me, not that one. Excuse me. Your Sacred King. My bad. I forget his name sometimes. Sacred Noble Knight Artorigus. You can help. This can be really helpful to go into this sometimes, but you don't want to run it as more of than a one of. I find. I tried to. I got cloggy. I found that Excalibur and Destiny were just doing better work than this card right now. Then I run one Archfidutor. Really, just a. It's an okay card, but it's a noble arms, so that's the reason we run it. You need multiple noble arms, really, because you can't have more than one on the field. Then we have two last chapter of the Noble Knights. I couldn't read that card for a second. This card's really good, especially in combination with your where the heck is it? With your Boars or your Mcgraw, because you can get Mcgraw's effect off, go for another rank 4. It's a really nice card. I like it as a 2-of. You don't want to see it early game, but if things backfire, it's another way to go off. 2 Twin Twister, you want to clear back row before you go off because Solemn Strikes are not your friend. So, 2 Twin Twister, clear that back row before you go off. 1 Rhoda, 1 Upstart, 1 Instant Fusion, 1 Regeki. Rhoda, it's a warrior-based deck for the most part. Upstart Goblin, you need the draw power. Instant Fusion, it's a rank 4 deck. You have a lot of rank 4s, it means you can go for other rank 4 plays. And Regeki is just a good card in general to have to clear the board. For your trap lineup, I run the Solemn Brigade. 2 Solemn Strikes and a Warning. You can run 3 Solemn Strikes if you want to, but you need some life points for protection. And I know people are going to question me on running this card in the deck. I understand it. I got it. But from testing it, I really like it. 2 Drowning Mirror Force. Now, hear me out. The problem this deck has is it may take a turn or 2 to set up. And while you're setting up your combo plays, or if they Castell you, gosh forbid, or just get rid of your monster on the field, you're going to be up the creek without a paddle. Your opponent's going to have a lot of resources on the field. And if they run into a Drowning Mirror Force because they're not expecting it, it can be such a momentum swinger. It may bide you that turn or 2. It can stack the resources against them. It's just a card where I wanted to run another Strike and maybe another Caliburn, and then I just said, one of my friends suggested, hey, because you find yourself sometimes with an open field a lot of the times, why don't you try Drowning? Because people would see that coming maybe and just charge right in, thinking they got game because they're playing Noble Knights. And that mentality I thought was really bad, but when I tried it out in practice and online, it worked out a lot. And so I would say don't hate on it till you try it, but I do like the 2 Drowning. Yes, you can run other traps. Yes, you can run other Noble Arms and things of that nature if you like. But I like the Drowning. It paid off. Really good. On to the extra deck, guys, now. We run our 2 Kings. You don't need me to run more than 2. Pretty good card. And then you run your 2 Sacred Kings. They're not as good as they used to be, their effects, but they're still good. You usually go for King, sometimes Sacred King, once in a while. But I keep 2 of each because sometimes I do find myself going into 2 of them in a duel. Then we run our 2 Ignoble Knight Lancelin. Great card. Like I stated earlier, it's your searcher of the deck. It helps search things out. Then we run our rank 4 engine, which is pretty much the rest of the deck. Your Castell, your Abyss Dweller, which comes in handy against meta decks, your Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, your 101, your Giant Hand, which comes in handy sometimes. These are pretty much your standard rank 4s here. You can run in the deck because you're running Mcgraw and you're also running Nodin. Then we run 1 Cowboy, the Utopia, the Lightning Engine, and the 1 Nodin. Cowboy really comes in handy. Oh my gosh, it wins games. I can't tell you how much. And then you have the Utopia engine right here. So basic stuff right there, guys. So I hope all of you enjoyed this deck profile. I did go into a couple of combos. The deck is very combo oriented. It takes a while to find a good build. I hadn't seen a good build with Noble Knights in a long time, and I really wanted to approach this deck because I really have a passion for it. But any criticism is welcome. I hope you took this away. If you want to build a Noble Knight deck for fun, you at least have a template and you can build it from there. Because a lot of people I see that think that once the deck lost, which it was a pain in the butt losing Kaiser Coliseum, but the deck's still decent. It's not tier 1, it's about tier 2, I would say, tier 2 deck. It's a good deck, solid deck. But till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see you guys next time. Go Noble Knights, go Noble Knights.